Hey folks, Chef Pep here, back with you. Today's video we're going to show how to actually break apart a Maine rock crab. This is a Maine rock crab. These crabs are native to the state of Maine. They're in a lot of other states also, but cold water crabs. So these are good sized crabs. They're about 1.75 pounds a piece. And I'm going to show you exactly the best and the easiest way to take these crabs apart and get the meat without getting a bunch of shell in the meat. A lot of people don't know how to take apart these crabs. They're really sweet. It's such a clean tasting crab. I've done this with so many other crabs. I've done it with spider crabs, sand crabs, Dungeness crabs, Alaskan king crabs, Maryland blue crabs. And these are almost some of the easiest crabs that I've been able to take the meat out of. So the first thing that we're going to do to make breaking this crab apart really easy and showing you what parts you can eat and you can't eat, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pop the claws off. And the claws are really easy to pop off. When you pull the claw, one claw to the other claw, it stops. If you go beyond that point, it breaks it right off. You go beyond that point with the other crab, it does the same thing. It breaks it right off, and it didn't take any of the body meat with it. The next thing you want to do, which is one of the harder things to do, is you want, now be careful guys, I have a towel here on my cutting board, so when the water that you cook the crabs in starts coming out, it doesn't go all over your floor and drip down your surface. Have a towel right here to catch all that juice. And it could be an old towel that you don't really care about because it's going to have crab juice on it. What you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb and you're going to place it over that back, the very last leg. You're going to place it on that last leg, and then you're going to put your palm in the middle of the crab, take the shell and pull it away from the body. And it comes away just that easily. Now I'm gonna bring the shell bowl over here. Now look at all the juice that's in this crab. You don't wanna let that go all over your table. So once you break that seal, by breaking that back shell off, you can see all that came out of that. You wanna put that in your bowl where you're not gonna really use it again. And these crab shells can be used for so many different things. If you have like your favorite crab stuffing or a seafood stuffing and you just want to bake it so that it's got a really nice presentation, you can bake it in these crab shells after you take a spoon and clean them all out. They're really good. And just so that you know, in the deep of winter, the crabs store their fat on the inside of their shell. So if you're making a crab bisque or any kind of a seafood chowder, you can take that fat from around the inside of the crab shell and you can use it in your crab sauces or your crab bisque and broth. What I'm taking off right now are the gills. These are the gills. Some people call them the lungs. Some people call them dead man fingers. But those are on the side of the shell of the crab, and you want to definitely take those off. Those come off really clean and easy, and that's what you want to take off. Now, right where the crab has its face and its teeth, where it chews up all its food, is in the front. You want to grab it firmly between your index finger and your thumb, and you want to twist on one side and twist on the other, and it comes right off. And then you just pull off anything else that's lingering on that body. Okay, the next thing we're going to take off is the sex organ. This is a male. You can tell because it's thin. It's not broad. It's thin because it doesn't carry any eggs. The broad ones on the female, that's where they keep all their eggs. So you want to take this the same way you did the mouth and the chewing part in the front. You grab it between your thumb and your index finger and you pull it straight back, and that just came off. So now you're left with just the legs, the two sides of the body, which is the back fin. All of the body meat is in here, which is really, really good. That's pure solid white meat, and it's good eating. But now you want to take the guts out. So you can take your index finger and run it right down in throughout that crab and pull out all this little innards of the crab. And don't be afraid to rinse that under some cold water. But these don't have a whole lot of fat in there or anything, so this doesn't even have to be rinsed. You can see on the inside, it's nice and white. You just want to pull off all of the entrails that are hanging on for dear life. You want to just get that off of there. Now that you see that this is perfectly clear, you're free to, you want to take the crab itself and you want to kind of twist it in. Try to make these two ends meet. And when you do that, it breaks right in half. then you can kind of just flick off all of the other stuff that's trying to hang on. And there you have it. That's one clean crab. So I'm going to do it again with this crab, and I'm not going to narrate while I'm doing it, so you just see how it's done. So I'm going to show you how it's done in real time. The lungs, the dead man. I know I said I wasn't going to narrate. Face comes off. His little organ comes up. Doesn't always come out in one piece. Index finger clears that through. You want these two to meet. And there it is. Flick all that in there. Okay, so now we can take this and we can put this over here. And clean up your hands, get your board nice and clear. Get all that juice off of your board, because now what we're going to do is we're going to crack into it to try to see if we can get some of this meat out of here. And we're going to use this bowl right here to put our meat in. We'll take it from here and put it in here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start with the hardest parts. The hardest parts are the body meat and the leg meat. And what I'm going to use, I have a tenderizer here, and a meat tenderizer usually comes with a rigid end for your meats and a flat end. And we're going to use the flat end. It's like a mallet. You can use it, but the trick is not to smash it real hard. You just want to crack the shell of the crab so that you can take the meat out without getting all kinds of shell in with your meat. So the same thing that we did with the first claws, we're going to do with these claws. We're going to pull them forward until they can't go anymore, and then go more. That leg just came off. Do the same thing with that one. That just came off. That just came off. They come off pretty easy, guys, see? And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. We're going to pull it forward. Boom. We're going to pull it forward. And this is on the underside of the crab. So we're going to pull it forward again and pull it forward again. So this is what we're going to do. So now we're going to take the leg, and there's two sides. There's the outer side where you can see where everything folds in. That's the outer side. The inner side is where things fold backwards. We're going to take the crab leg on the biggest piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with this mallet, but we're just going to tap it until it cracks. See, that's cracked, but it's not crushed into the meat. And then what we can do, just like how you peel a nut, usually they come out nice and whole in whole pieces, and that's what you really want. But if it doesn't, it's fine, because you're still going to get meat without the shell. I have an oyster knife here. You can use anything that's not sharp to help you get your meat out. You see how that came out in one nice chunk? That's how you want your meat to come out. You can take this oyster shell and you can pull it out. Now, crabs have little bones. They're little filaments. That's the crab bone right there. And when you separate the ligaments, the bones come through. So hopefully, if you pull that, sometimes these come out and this stays like that just did, and this stays. Now, these are tiny pieces. Some people don't even waste their time on that. You don't want to crack it real hard, because if you do, you're going to get shell in with your meat, and that's the one thing that we don't want. You want to just get your meat. So I don't usually bother with these small parts. I just leave them be. I'm going to show you again how to crack this. You lay it on its very back end, and you crack it. And once you crack it, you barely crack it, and look, you see? There's no shell in with that. You take your oyster knife and you just kind of scoop it right out of the shell. All the meat's out of there. You take it, you pull this shell out. There's more meat in there, and you take it out. Now, it depends on how well you cook the crab or how full the crab is whether the pieces come out whole. I'm going to show you and see if I can get one of these pieces out whole. Okay, I'm going to and it depends on how you crack it too. See, that was just cracked, and I want to show you guys. Look at this. See this piece right here? This just about came out whole. That's that whole piece that just came out. That's a whole nice piece of crab. You take your oyster knife and you scoop that right out, and that piece comes out without the little bones. You don't want the bones in there with them. So we're going to keep on doing this, because we are going to get a piece that comes out just so beautifully. And as long as you don't have shell in with your actual meat, you're doing really good, folks. Okay, it doesn't always come out as a whole piece, but as long as you don't have shell in with your crab meat. Now look at that. That's a beautiful whole piece that comes out. You see what I mean? And like I said, these are used to flavor stuff. If you're making a gumbo or anything similar to a gumbo or any kind of a crab dish where you use the crab flavoring, you can use those small pieces because through cooking, they'll just flavor your pot. But as far as having to, you know, deal with them as so tiny, it's so time consuming, then listen, if you have the time, you know, that's great. You can take the time and do that. You see that, folks? That came out as a beautiful whole piece. We're gonna show you. We're gonna zoom in on our meat bowl when we get finished, so that you guys can see that it is. It's fairly simple, and when you get all your leg meat, you know, it's not very hard. It's just one good tap, and if it breaks in half, that's fine because there's still nice chunks of meat. And anything that you want to do with them, you can. You know, as long as you just take your time. And when you got a half a piece just like that, you just kind of scoop it out like you would a pea pod. You just, you know, kind of scoop it out. Now, after we get through these, I'm going to show you guys how to get that claw meat out. See, the same thing with this. Once you hit that, you separate it. You pull that. See, this piece is going to come out nice and whole. Look at that, guys. Look at that. That went without even saying. Look at that. That came out just beautiful and whole. That's a beautiful, whole, nice leg meat right there. That's gorgeous. And you put that right in your meat pan or bowl. Same thing with that. Once you crack it, you can see it's cracked and it kind of comes open. And after that, it's just like ready to just come out. Look at this, guys. This is coming out beautiful. Look at this. You just take your oyster knife and you kind of scoop that out. Look at that beautiful whole piece of crab leg meat. So now we're going to move to the good pieces. Now these are the claws, and they're dark because they've lived in the shallows most of their lives, and these are the older crabs, so they're full of meat. So these are going to be really nice to crack. So what you want to do is you want to lay the claw. These we call the knuckles, and this we call the claw meat. So what you're going to do, you don't have to break it apart, but you can take this and the same thing applies. You don't want to smash it real hard. You kind of tap it just to crack that outer shell. And look at that. See, now this is just straight up knuckle meat. You take your oyster knife, stick it in the part that's open, and look at that meat that comes out of there. That is straight up beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. That's all knuckle meat. Make sure you get it off from the shell, and that comes out just so nice and lumpy. That is a beautiful piece of meat. Look, there's even more meat in here. We're going to see if we can get a nice claw piece to come out really beautifully and whole, so we can have it served as like a cocktail claw. So now we've just cracked the outside. See that? And we're going to, look at that. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful, gorgeous. I'm going to adjust my bowl. And now we're going to crack this so that it's just cracked on the outside. And now we're going to peel the shell away from this claw. And we're going to get this beautiful piece of claw with no shell on it. It's not quite whole, but that's all meat. And you can leave this on for the handle. And then the pieces that didn't quite come out, you can take that oyster knife and just kind of scoop it out. Now, guys, I'm determined to give you guys a whole cocktail claw, so I'm going to try this one right here. I'm going to do it without the tutorial really fast. There we go. There it is, guys. Look at that. That's a beautiful whole piece of crab meat. That comes out there, and then the claw itself, you crack it really nice and good, and let's see if we can get a nice whole piece of claw that comes out of this. We peel that out. There she goes, guys. Look at that. That's a beautiful claw. That is a cocktail claw. Leave the claw on. I hope this helped you guys. That's how we take the meat out of a crab. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.